Ladles and jelly spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this. This is my belt and it needs fixing. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get on with it. So yes, this is my belt. It's an old belt, very old belt. I don't know if you can actually read that on there. So it came from Next originally, made in England, and real leather. And I've had this belt for, oh, how long? I would say probably in excess of 25 years. So it's you know, done well. But it has finally given up the ghost. And here is our problem. The leather is split there, it's starting to split there, and it is starting to fall to pieces. Also, the nickel plating is wearing off of whatever this buckle is made of. But I don't want to throw it away because I like this belt. So I'm going to try and fix it. Now, one of the nice things here is the fact that I actually, when I got this belt, it barely fit. There's actually a funny story of why I have this belt, if you'll indulge. Many, many years ago, when I worked in the City of London, I was travelling into town one day to visit a client, and I had at the time lost a fair bit of weight, which I was quite happy about, but it also meant my trousers didn't fit properly, and I had left the house in a rush and somehow forgotten to put my belt on, and I got to Euston Station and I was literally in danger of my trousers falling down. I had to hold my trousers up. And so I went into a branch of, I believe it was Tyrac, I might be wrong, and I bought this belt, which, as I said, is Next, not a sponsor, but that's just, you know. And I bought this belt, and it was the longest belt they had, and as you can see on there, it says the size. I don't know if I can get the light to catch it properly, but it says 38 to 41 inches. And it was still too small. I was quite large at the time. And so I actually took a screwdriver that I had in my bag, went into the changing rooms, and I punched a hole through the belt, because that was where the first hole was, and I couldn't do it up. So I actually punched a hole through the end of it with my screwdriver to make it fit. And then over the years, you can see how I've moved down through the holes until I got to this point here, where this one was a bit too tight and this one was a bit too loose, so I punched a hole in the middle, and I did the same here. So as I've worn the belt down, or as my waist has shrunk and the belt has expanded, because obviously it's leather, so it has stretched a bit over time, I've had to punch extra holes in it to make it fit. And it looks very ratty and all the rest of it, but you know, there's still a lot of life in this belt aside from this end here. So yes, it does mean that I have about 4 inches or so on the end of this belt that I can, you know, do away with if I need to. So I'm hoping, the plan is, get rid of this stitching, just trim this end off, fold it over and stitch it back together. That's the plan. So to start with, we need this. This is a stitch picker. And any of you who have done any kind of sewing or anything before will know what this is. It's basically a sharp point, or a fairly sharp point, but the web here is actually sharpened. And so what you do, and hopefully this will work, is you hook this under one of the stitches and then push, and it cuts the stitch. And then you can use the end to you know, pull the stitches out, or cut them if need be. So let me just get these stitches out, and we'll go from there. Right, that's that one. I might just cut that end off actually. Although I do want to try and keep as much of this as I can, so maybe not. Right, there we go. Right, let's take the buckle off because we need that. And take this bit off because we need this. Right. And I think what I'll do is I'll cut it through those holes and then fold it over. Let me get a straight edge and a knife. Right, so I've just got a set square here. And the way I do this is I place the set square on the edge of the bench, put the belt up to it, and then cut it off. Like that. Right, now we've cut this off, we can use this to help plan out where everything else needs to go. So that folds over like that. So we need to, I've got to think about this so I don't do it wrong. So we want to fold that over, or, well, not necessarily fold it over, but we need to make a line. Right, let's just put a mark there, like that. And then this, yeah, I think that's right. And then we need to mark the hole for the belt buckle to go here. I think that's right. That should work. Yeah, that should be right. Is it? Or do I need to put that there in the middle of that? All right, hang on. Let's put that like that. And then we fold that over there. So that needs to go like that. But I'm just thinking, actually, we can use this row of holes yeah, that'll work better. So we'll do that like that, then we'll mark another row of holes. Let's put this on this side, it'll be easier. Line that up there. So we want to make a mark there and a mark there. Yeah, that's right. And then a mark. Actually, we'll wait until we've got that. Let's squash that down a bit more. We want to mark there. Yeah, then open that up. And we want to put a mark, so line that up with that. And then we want a mark there and there, roughly. It's not quite in the middle, but we can figure that out. Right, so that's that. So what we need to do now is take a punch and mark and cut these holes here. Let me see what size this is. Oh, it's kind of awkward doing this. Every time I get up to go and get something, my trousers nearly fall down. Anyway, so I have here a 4mm hole punch and a block of wood, scrap block of wood, and a hammer. So we need to put this on here like this, and this is going to be fun hammering this, and it's probably going to send the camera all over the place, but we'll see. Right, that's one hole. And then we want to put the other one about there. Oh, it goes like that. There we go. Now, we take our scalpel and we cut between those two holes. There we go. Right, so there's our slot. So now our buckle needs to go, I've got to think how this goes now. Needs to go like that. Yeah, that's right, like that. So that's fine. So we'll take that off for a minute, because what we need to do now is mark out and punch these holes. Right, so this is a stitch wheel, and it's basically a wheel with a bunch of steel spikes on it. And these quite nicely line up with these holes here. Hopefully you can see that. So what we can do is take this and we take our, find our marks. So there's a mark there. And we run this wheel across like that. And you see that gives us a nice little row of holes that show us where the stitches need to go. And then the other one is there. Like that. And then we also need to put a row of holes on this side as well. Like that. Now we take an awl. I don't know if I can do it with this one or not. Ah, right, so that's handy. So it is 4mm. So this is an awl, basically a leather punch. But the nice thing with this one is instead of having to do the holes one at a time, I have a whole set of these that have different numbers of spikes on. So 1, 2, 4, and I've got one with 6 on it as well somewhere. But I think we'll use the 4 first. Like that. And again, sorry for more hammering, but punch that through like that, pull it out. Oh, oh, and there we have a nice set of holes, you see. And then we'll do these other 4 holes on this side. And there we go. So then we can punch the holes in this side, in these ones. And there we go. So now we can put this together. But actually, I think what I might do, because it'll be helpful to actually thin this down a little bit. So I'm going to use this skiving knife to just thin this down a little bit. There we go. And that just thins that down, you see, so that when you fold it over, you don't end up with a big lump at the end. So I will refine this a little further, and then we'll start thinking about putting it together. Right, I've cleaned the end of that up, so now it folds over and lays a bit flatter like that, you see. So what we need to do now is put this together. So we need to put this piece on, because that needs to go in between those two. And we need to put our buckle on, which needs to go, make sure you put the buckle on the right way around, otherwise you'll hate yourself. That goes like that. And then we fold that over, line up the holes, and we're ready to go. But what I'm going to do is a bit of an extra precaution. I've got some leather adhesive here, and I'm going to put a little bit on just on the tail here, just to help hold it all together while we sew it. So I'm not sure if this glue's actually any good or not, but we'll see. I've had it quite a while. Oh no, I think we're all right. So we'll put a blob on there, and we'll put a blob over here, like that. And then we'll take a coffee stirrer and just spread that out. Like that. And we'll do the same over here. This is basically just contact glue. So we'll leave that to tack up for a minute and then stick it together. Right, that's tacked up quite nicely. So now we can fold this over, make sure those holes line up, and stick that down. And I've got a couple of clamps that we can put on it, just to, if you'll pardon the expression, belt and braces. Like that. And now we can start sewing this. And to do that, I have a piece of thread here with a needle on each end, and we'll get to how we're going to use this in a second. But the thread is this stuff. This is it's like a nylon thread that's used for making like jeans and stuff like that, so it's really hard wearing. So it's very good stuff, perfect for this kind of application. And what we're also going to do is we're going to do something that you don't necessarily need to do with this, but it does help. This is beeswax, and what we're going to do is we're going to wax the thread. So you just put it onto the block of beeswax like that, press it down with your thumb, and just pull the thread across the beeswax, and it basically leaves a coating of wax on the thread. Now that does several things. In this application, the most important thing is it lubricates the thread to make it easier to stitch it. But what it also does, if you're using, like this is a nylon thread, it's a man-made thread, but if you're using something like a cotton or a linen thread, this will actually help to protect it and waterproof it. Right, and now we can start sewing. So I'm going to do a little bit of it in front of the camera because I actually want to put this in a brace because it's easier to sew it. But I'll do a couple of stitches just to show you how it's done, or how I do it anyway. So what we do is we go through our first hole, which I now can't see, that's there, and then through the corresponding hole on the other side like that. Pull it through, and you want to pull it about halfway through. Oh, it's all tangled up now. There we go. Right, about halfway through like that. And then, this is where the fun really starts. You go through the next hole, back over to the other side and through the hole over there. Oh, I've gone through the same hole. Next hole, sorry. Go across through the second hole like that. Pull that through. And then take this one and go back through that same hole again that you've just gone through. So the second hole. Like that. And then pull it tight. Like that, you see. Now, like I said, this is a lot easier to do in a brace, but that's effectively how you do it. So what we do now is we come back over to this side, we go to the next hole, which is there. And we go through. Oh, is that the hole? Oh, am I in the wrong place? No, the next hole is there. And we pull it through, then we take the other needle, go back through the same hole. This is called a saddle stitch, basically. And it is a very, very, very strong stitch. When this was originally made, this belt, this was stitched on a machine. I do not have a machine to stitch this with, so I'll do it this way instead. But there you go, like that. So I will get on and stitch the rest of this because I'm going to put it in a stitching clamp, but I have to basically sit on it, which is weird. But let me show you it quickly. Where is it? Right, this is going to be fun getting this under the camera. But this is a stitching clamp. So basically, I'll try and show you it from one end to the other. You've got effectively a spring-loaded clamp here. And when you tighten that clamp, it pulls this end shut, you see. And what you do is you put whatever it is you want to stitch in there, and it basically holds it together and holds it so you can stitch it. And on the other end of it is this board. And you basically stick that between your legs, stop laughing at the back, and you sit on it. and that's what holds it steady. So yeah, and as you can see, that's quite difficult to get to do in front of the camera. So as I said, I will sew up the rest of this and then we'll have another look at it. Right, so there it is, all stitched up, back together. One thing I have done there, just to show you, is whenever I tie off a knot like that, I like to put a little drop of super glue on it, just to make sure it stays done up. I've never had one come undone, but you know, again, belt and braces, if you'll pardon the expression. But there you go. So, just a quickie. Stop laughing at the back. Yes, in other news, I do have some other projects on the go. It's just that they're taking, unfortunately, a lot longer than I thought they were going to. And also, I have been inundated with other things that have put strain on my time, unfortunately. But normal service will be resumed soon. And I think you're going to like some of the things I've been working on. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank my top tier patrons, Howard, Amy and Hawaii Clive O, for their continued support. And indeed all of my other patrons and channel members and all you lovely people at home. It's very much appreciated. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.